All right, I would like to welcome everybody out to our City Council General Meeting for August 14th, 2019. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be offered to us, or led by Stephen Shields.
Everybody please rise, put your hand over your heart, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may now be seated.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, any comments or recognitions by the council? I'd just like to congratulate those who went through the process of our primary election for District 4 council seat. That will be having the general election later this year. We would encourage all of those that live in that district to review the candidates that made it through the primary to the general and inform yourselves about those issues so that you can ask them any questions and make sound decisions.
One quick comment. I don't believe I've had a chance to comment since I attended the Arts Council's summer play. I did have a chance to attend that with my family, and as usual, they did a fantastic job. It was a great performance, one that we really enjoyed as a family. Saw lots of obviously our residents out there. We have a very dedicated staff and volunteer corps on the Arts Council that put a lot of time and energy into that performance every year, and I think they just continue to raise that bar each year in terms of the quality of those productions. So, and I know that obviously our staff here has a lot of support that is provided there. So just wanted to recognize them for their efforts and tell them thank you once again for another quality production.
Absolutely. Okay. With that, we will move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Audience members may bring any item to the City Council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law does prohibit the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda. If you would have a comment for the council at this time, please come up to the podium and state your name, and we will take that at this time.
Good evening. My name is Steve Shields. I'm a resident of District 4. As we have been hearing a lot of brouhaha over Olympia Hills, and it looks like it will be brought before the County Council here in the next several weeks for a vote. I just want to make sure that as a City Council that you guys are doing everything you can to communicate to the county and to the other stakeholders the importance of making sure that the development is done in a responsible way and that it is done in a sustainable way. We have information, there are studies that are done that tell us what a sustainable number is, and I hope that we're doing everything we can to advocate for that number with the county. From a personal standpoint, I would hope that they would delay any decision making until those studies are completed, the further studies that might back up that number even further. I feel like decisions that are made in advance of that number might get us stuck with a massive project that just isn't sustainable. So again, I encourage you to please speak with your counterparts on the boards that you're a member of, with everybody that you can, and please advocate for them to do this in a responsible way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teddy Hodges, Herrmann resident. So there's a fun little blinking light on Main Street here in front of Silvercrest Elementary. And there has been some requests from Rosecrest neighborhood or Herrmann Town Center neighborhood to get that to a flashing stoplight overhead light. So that's what we have in front of Copper Mountain for safety, as my kids directly walk across that every day for school. And I know we're gonna get a lot of calls about that. And it's really hard to see those bright little LEDs during the day. Our crossing guards do a great job, but anytime after the crossing guards aren't there, it's not that safe. So just heads up on that if we can kind of get some public safety. I know looking in the future for that. So cool, thanks.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further comment, we will close the public comment section of our meeting at this time. Next item is council, board, and committee reports.
I'll give just a quick update. I, again, sit as a member of the Transportation Coordinating Committee for Wasatch Front Regional Council. Actually had a meeting that we generally meet about quarterly for Transcom. Had that meeting this afternoon. Actually, I was able to attend again down at Wasatch Front Regional Council. And there's lots going on in Transcom as it deals with transportation planning and funding throughout really the whole region, again, that Wasatch Front region. One of the things that as we went through the chair's report today for Transcom, they did bring up the what is referred to federal legislation as the FAST Act. This is transportation funding at the federal level. The FAST Act is set to expire essentially a year from now in September of 2020. There is an effort now to have that act reauthorized and refunded moving forward. Just as a point of reference, this is where over half of the funding came from to help for our rail transit system here in the county, so it does provide a significant amount of money. Obviously, they are working, and there's, as in most things, there's much oversight in terms of what committee in Washington has oversight of this, and there's actually 5 different committees that have responsibility over helping to push the reauthorization of the FAST Act forward. And the first steps of those are already in play. The concern is obviously the actual funding component of that, and the Finance Committee is the one that has actually the authority over the funding, the refunding of this FAST Act moving forward, which again generates a lot of federal funding that does come directly to the state to support our transportation infrastructure needs. So I just bring that up by way of information to, again, as we as a city and as members of the council have opportunity to interact with our congressional delegation, as we sometimes do, to obviously stress the importance, which I'm sure they understand, but from the local level, the importance of the reauthorization of this. There is some fear, again, as we start to approach an election cycle, that this is something that won't be fully funded and fully reauthorized, that it might get kind of bogged down in that election process. And that's something that I think would be very detrimental to us as a state and, again, as a community, to not have access to those federal tax dollars. And then a couple of other items that took place today. Again, the board approved some modifications to the 2019-2024 TIP funding, which again is for local projects. And then the board also did approve some planning as far as those projects that will be included in the 2020-2025 TIP program. So that's always kind of a moving target. And the way that works, it's a 6-year period, but with 4 years, the first 4 years of every one of those TIP plans being fully funded, and those projects that are proposed in the other 2 years, again, to continue to be on the plan, and then to continue to secure that funding as we move through those processes. But again, this is, we're talking billions of dollars in transportation infrastructure that is planned in this 2020 to 2025 plan, about $4 billion worth of infrastructure. So again, all ties back to a lot of that federal funding too, but a lot of work, obviously, as we well know as council members of the committees that we send on, a lot of work behind the scenes and of these other committees that is important, again, at the local level for us to be engaged in, and appreciate the opportunity to do that and represent not only our community, but really the Southwest Quadrant of the Valley in this capacity. So just wanted to give that update.
Okay, thank you.
Just an update from the mosquito abatement. We have had several pools throughout the state test positive for West Nile virus now. We're just ramping into that season. And a lot of people don't think about their yards as being maybe habitats for mosquitoes, but even simple things like bird baths, if you have a bird bath in your yard, you'll want to make sure that that water's being changed at least every week, because it can only take, in this kind of hot weather and things like that, within a week, that you can be growing mosquitoes in your bird bath. So make sure that anything that you have that has standing water in it, ornamental ponds, anything like that that was standing water, that water is changed out every week. If you have a pond that you're not obviously taking out of the ground and dumping every week, mosquito abatement will come out. They have little briquettes that they can put in your ponds that will kill larvae and things like that, so we don't ever reach adulthood on mosquitoes. So if you have an old tire with a little bit of water sitting in the bottom of it, that's a mosquito breeding ground. So really check your yards. I mean, there was pictures of a wagon, wheelbarrows, all those kind of things that maybe if you have sitting there, you don't think about it being an old bucket or something as mosquito breeding. If they have water sitting in it for over a week, that definitely can add to that problem. So please just survey your yards a little bit and see if you have anything like that, and just make sure that those are being dumped or replenished every week. Horse troughs, anything like that are safe as long as we're dumping those and cleaning those out once a week. And that will really help with the control of mosquitoes, and not just as a pest, but as a public health problem. So.
My usual Southwest Mayor's update. The visioning study was kicked off on Monday. So we had a kind of a press event and invited all of the major stakeholders, whether landowners, municipalities, utility districts, et cetera, to come meet with us, ask questions, et cetera, and really kind of set the stage for what the study's about, what we hope to accomplish over what time frame. The estimate's about 12 months. We don't want to put a hard line on that. We'll see, what needs to be done. We want to make sure that it's done right. But really the way that we've described it, the way that I'll continue to describe it, is kind of 3 phases. The first phase is assess the current situation. The example I always use is with our city. Our estimate was we're between 50, 55,000 residents right now, and look at the issues we have, traffic, water, et cetera. That's just with the current situation. Our city is almost entirely entitled. So our boundaries, there's really, as far as density units, that's already assigned. Like, those decisions have been made in the past, and the rest of that's going to be developed. And right now, as far as I can tell, there's no plans to change any of the infrastructure, roads, et cetera. With the Southwest Mayors coming together, what's been realized with kind of I'll put it this way, the threat of Olympia Hills at the very western end, where every city has planned to have less density because it's way out there and it compounds as it goes the other way, forced us to kind of come together. And I'll give Mayor Staggs credit and Riverton for kind of seeing that, bringing the 6 cities together, Copperton, West Jordan, South Jordan, Herrmann, Riverton, Bluffdale, to look collectively at our plans. What have we done? What can we do to kind of fix the current issues? So the first phase that we've tasked the consultant with is to assess the current situation. What are some solutions that we can use? And really, solutions are interagency work. So some of the things Councilman Smith mentioned, looking at funding vehicles, whether it's regional, county, state, federal. That's really what we need, is money, right? If we're going to redo infrastructure, fix those problems, we want to assess current situation, what can be done in the near term to help alleviate some of those things. Maybe get extra funding to speed up the time frame of converting Bangor to a full freeway. That's still decades out from being completed, let alone Mountain View actually connecting at either end. So hopefully we can speed up timelines from some of those things, maybe even address an east-west corridor. Perish the thought. But look at the situation as it stands, and then the second phase would be to look at build out of our current plans. So I just mentioned we have, our densities are assigned in our current boundaries. What effect is that going to have, and what upgrades to the overall infrastructure system need to be made just to accommodate what's already approved? And then the final phase would be other annexation areas that those decisions have not been made for. If we build out according to the infrastructure we have, what density can that hold? If we want to do a higher one, if people think that that's needed, what changes would need to be made to overhaul the existing infrastructure to accommodate it? So those are kind of the 3 phases that we've tasked them with. It's going to take that at least 12 months probably to go through. There will be lots of reach out. Please participate. If you get emails, if you see signs to go to a website, take a survey, different meetings, etc. All that input is going to go a long way to helping us make some of these decisions, identify some of these solutions.
Well, just to tag on to Jared's, I don't do what he's doing, but I was able to participate. Well, I was able to be at this meeting, this kickoff meeting, and just kind of to address even the question that was presented earlier in the public comment. There was Mayor Jenny Wilson was there as part of this, and there was also 3 other Salt Lake County Council members that were at this kickoff meeting. So there's been an unprecedented level of communication, I would call it, with the county. Jared is obviously our representative on this particular coalition, but he is taking the voice of our residents to this coalition, who then is obviously sharing this with the county, who is making the decision that's before them. So I believe that we're working unprecedentedly hard, as that word kept being used at this meeting, because this just simply doesn't happen. These mayors from different cities don't usually always sit down at the same table and try and just coordinate these types of things. So trying to work very hard to make sure that the impact is lessened on our residents, and or that whatever impact happens has the infrastructure to support it.
Okay. Moving on, we will move on to item 8.1, Healthy Herrmann Chair. I'm going to say this wrong. Adonia. Wendy, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for your time. As you know, the Parks, Recreation, and Events Department has the privilege to work with our citizen committees, and it's one of the better things that we get to do. And so I've asked Kevin. Kevin works really closely with Healthy Herrmann, Kevin and Karen in our events department. I've asked Kevin to come tonight to present Adonia with her Recognition of Service Award. She is starting a business and wanting to grow that. So she's going to focus her attention on that, but I'll turn the time over to Kevin.
It has been a privilege to work with Adonia for the last little bit, and I wanted to highlight some of the things that, under her direction, has been able to happen for Healthy Herrmann. The emphasis of Healthy Herrmann before was just an emphasis on, it was a very small emphasis. When Adonia stepped in, she really wanted to know what the community needed. We have a crisis here in Herrmann. Last year, this year, it continues to be a crisis of suicide. The committee decided that that was an important thing to focus on mental health and suicide awareness and QPR training, which for those watching, QPR is a training like CPR, but it is designed for suicide awareness to help prevent suicide. And so Healthy Herrmann started doing monthly trainings, classes to train. They continue to be at the library once a month. Because of their efforts, now everybody in the city that is an employee is being certified as a QPR gatekeeper. It's a very important thing. We have had 7 suicides this year in Herrmann. It continues to be a problem. We can do more. And the more people that are aware and trained, the more we'll know. In addition, under her direction, last year they did a health and wellness fair. It's going to happen again October 5th here in City Hall. Encourage everyone to come. And so because of, she's a massage therapist, not just the cushy kind. She does sports massage. She has opened Apex Sports Massage. And so we wanted to give her a gift that was a little more zen than normal. So on one side it says, act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. And then on the back it says, presented with gratitude to Adonia Swanner for dedicated service.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thank you.
so I'll just say thanks.
One picture? We would love to take a photo with you if that would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
She's telling you.
So we've got the flags in the back.
What, you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting? All right, we will move on to the public hearing section of our meeting. Please be aware that the same rules regarding public hearing will apply as the public comment with a 2-minute time limit for any comments that are made by the public. With that, we will start with item 9.1, public hearing and consideration of a resolution approving an amendment to the Herrmann City fiscal 2019-2020 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. This budget amendment has been on our last 2 work meetings and now coming to a public hearing. These are amendments to the budget for the 2019-2020 budget year. First of all, we have a number of projects that began construction during the 2018-2019 year that were not completed. These projects are just being moved forward to the current year. The fund balance is already affected for these amounts, so this does not affect our fund balance. Also, we've projected here receiving land sales in the auto mall of $9 million that will help repay the water rights impact fee fund. These are not at this point imminent sales, but they are hoped to happen during this budget year. Secondly, as part of the purchase of the auto mall, when we purchased this last November to keep the property from going to multifamily housing and restrict it for residential or for commercial development, we paid $12 million for that property, but we also took a $4 million note. We are anticipating receiving $2.7 million from the Department of Transportation. We're also anticipating land sales for the dentist property on 5600 South and the Aaron Osmond property to pay off that note. This amendment will result in an $850,000 increase in our capital projects fund. Next of all, we've talked for a while now about purchasing the Estes property on the hillside. This is trail property, it's open space property. We've purchased about $380,000 of property from the grant that we got from the state legislature. We still have $120,000 of that, which would be applied towards this purchase. So we're budgeting $120,000 additional revenue from the state legislature and purchasing the property at $750,000, which would require using $630,000 of our park impact fees. This currently has a fund balance of $5,645,000, so it'll take us right down to $5 million in our park impact fees. Next, and this is a summary item here. We have the detail if anyone's particularly interested in it. But we created, as of July 1st, a Animal Services Department. This was not anticipated when we approved our budget. but we are projecting that we will have 167,000 of revenue. We will be using 328,900 of general fund revenues, total revenue 496,400. Our expected expenditures of 496,400 too. This 328,900 coming from the general fund will replace the 330,000 that was previously budgeted to go to the county animal services. And finally, the new approved stormwater fund requires a budget at this point. We are projecting budget of $1,450,000 this year. We're projecting expenditures of $1,224,755, which is broken up to administration of $312,250, maintenance of $540,535, and engineering of $371,970. And I'll just mention that essentially the creation of this fee and this department that we're creating is being mandated to us by the EPA. We are in fact the last city, I believe the last city in the county that has enacted a stormwater fee to try and take care of this unfunded mandate that we're getting from the federal government. These fees went out beginning in the bills that happened this week. And it will create a department that will now take care of the requirements that we're being required by the EPA to take care of in our city to protect the waterways from the runoff from the impervious area. And so if there's any questions, that's what we have.
Any questions from the council? Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
With that, we will open this item up for public hearing. Once again, if you have a comment, please come up to the podium and state your name. Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That public hearing is closed. Any further discussion by the council?
Just to reiterate that we're doing this because we have to. It's an unfunded mandate, and it's either this or increase taxes dramatically. I think it's more equitable to charge a fee for all users than just property owners.
I agree. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve resolution number R29-2019, approving an amendment to the Herrmann City fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
A second?
I have a motion and a second. Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
I vote yes, that motion passes. Item 9.2, public hearing and consideration of an ordinance to vacate right-of-way located at 4100 West, 14750 South, and 4000 West, 14850 South. Blake?
Okay, thank you. So we have looked at some property that was deeded to the city as right-of-way and have determined that as the plan has moved forward with pod 35 and 39, they're commercial pods, that the right-of-way will not be needed for any additional road widening in this area. So we recommend that the right-of-way be vacated, and this won't have any financial impact to the city. We never purchased the property. Like I said, it was deeded by a plat. So I got a couple of exhibits here. The yellow portion is showing the area. The wider part of it is along Mountain View Corridor. The skinnier part is along Real Vista. So the right-of-way for the road has already been dedicated. This is additional right-of-way that takes up slope. And as this commercial property develops, these slopes will be retained with walls and whatnot to help them better maximize their property and provide truck routes around the backs of their buildings and things like that. So this is the north side, or pod 35 as we call it. And the south side is pod 39. It's basically the same thing, just flip-flopped, mirrored off of each other. So we recommend that you hold the public hearing tonight, but not make a motion on it at this time. we'll ask to vacate it at a later date. You have to
Would there,
answer any- sorry.
Blake, would there be any reason, depending on comment, to hold the public hearing open if we're going to make a motion to vacate at a later date, or is there any items that we're still addressing that would?
No, the city attorney doesn't seem to have any concerns with that, so I think we'd be okay to close the public hearing tonight.
No, the public hearing is just a statutory requirement.
Okay.
And this is us simply returning land to the same property that it was extracted from, correct?
That's the part of the discussion why we're holding it open. With half of it, the statute reads half and half. UDOT would get the other half. We need to talk about that because UDOT
makes
doesn't
sense.
want that other half.
Doesn't want it, okay.
That was my next question. Why are we holding it
Thank you.
open?
All right, with that, we will open the public hearing. If you have comment, please come to the podium and state your name. Seeing none, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Your motion is second, Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
I vote yes, that motion passes. Any further discussion by the council? Okay. With that, we'll move on to our consent agenda.
Just the 3 items, correct, on our consent agenda? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Clint?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I vote yes, that motion passes. Item 11.1, discussion and consideration of an ordinance outlining the property acquisition reimbursement process. Our city attorney, John Brems.
So this is the ordinance to create a process to impose a fee on project improvements on adjacent properties that are increased in value because of a project improvement. And recommend approval.
Any discussion by the council?
No, this is just because we've been struggling with some improvements throughout the city that are for the benefit of the public as far as health and safety and those types of issues. And we kind of been hitting brick walls, and we have to find a way to open up those brick walls. And the intent of this ordinance, in my view, is to pave that path, to say, even if you're the property owner and you don't see the public benefit of this, if you don't feel like it personally benefits you, we do feel like it's a personal benefit because we are investing taxpayer money into improvements on your property. And so we have to have a way for the city to recoup that money if you stand to gain from that. But
Well said.
Yeah, agreed.
That almost sounded like a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-24, adopting a repayment requirement for city-installed project improvements by adding section 1-10-20 to the Herrmann City Code.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
I vote yes, that motion passes. Item 11.2, discussion and consideration of a resolution accepting a petition for annexation filed by Herrmann Springs Developer LLC for future consideration and related matters. Our city recorder, Jackie.
I heard this was Kennecott property.
Mayor and council, we did receive a petition for annexation for approximately 3/4 of an acre up in the Cove. That petition was submitted on July 10th, and this resolution would actually give direction to staff to actually pursue the process to have the public hearing, provide all the notices if the council wanted to do so. So I would recommend approval of the resolution. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. I do have a map that is presented kind of depicting the area that is going to be annexed.
So that was my question, because I'm trying to determine exactly from
So,
what's being annexed. And is it the portion with the lots?
so you'll see the Herrmann City boundary. It's got the dashes.
Uh-huh.
So just directly north of that, there's a long rectangular. It connects Coyote View Drive to Majestic Oaks Lane. 7100 West, there's just that long boundary there.
Does it say scallion on it?
I'm sorry, what?
It's right below that.
It's right below that, just that strip?
It's
Okay.
just that strip.
Yeah. And then there is also On the east side, there is a portion that's,
That little weird cutout
that,
around it.
yeah, that weird cutout. It'll eventually be part of Majestic Oaks Lane.
So is this, the intent behind this is to construct a road?
That will be, yes, that will be.
If memory serves, this has been an issue for as long as I've,
That's correct.
several years I've been here now, and it's just been, it was an oversight originally on
Correct.
when the cove was originally done, and there was just an issue with how to go about it, and so I'm just glad to see this finally come back and maybe
Yeah.
tidy it up and get that done.
Yep.
It's just that strip, that road strip.
Okay. Any further discussion by the council?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
I will motion to approve resolution number R31-2019, accepting a petition for annexation filed by Herrmann Springs Developers LLC for further consideration and related matters.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, that motion passes. We'll move on to item 11.3, discussion and consideration of an ordinance adopting the Public Safety Impact Fee Facilities Plan and Public Safety Impact Fee Analysis. Our attorney, John Brems.
So this is a two-step dance. The first is you enact the impact fee facility plan and the impact fee analysis, and then in the next, we adopt the enactment, which actually imposes the impact fee. We've had the hearings on this previously. This is the final process of enacting the public safety impact fee. So this is the first part of that two-step dance.
To clarify for the public, an impact fee only affects new properties built in the community, correct?
It's imposed on building permit.
On building permit. So anyone who already lives here will not be assessed this particular fee.
And John, correct, it's after we do this, it's a 90-day
90-day fuse, right, before it becomes an act.
before it becomes effective. Thank you.
Effective.
Okay.
Any questions by the council?
So just, I'm sorry, I just want to be clarified. We've done this study that supports it. Now we need to do this study that shows what the actual fee should be, or that has been concluded.
The enactment will take care of what the actual fees will be. That's 11.4.
11.4.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Basically, we're doing both right
11.3 is to enact the studies that we've done to support the fee. We've had the hearings on those already.
Okay, all right, okay,
Study.
right, okay.
So the two-step is adopt the ordinance. The second step is
Adopt
to
another
adopt the
ordinance.
Not the fee. Okay.
I'll just make a comment on, that'll pertain really to both of these items moving forward. I don't think anyone would disagree that I think one of the most essential services we provide as a city is public safety.
Yep.
And nobody likes any more fees or impact fees that are necessary. But what we do know is that this is an essential service that is incumbent on us to provide for our residents. And as we continue to grow and to continue to build, those have direct impacts on those public safety services that are provided. And this is a mechanism for us as a city to make sure that we are aware of the impact provided or caused by continual new growth. And this gives us a small way to help continue to plan for and provide for the growth of those services within our community, to make sure that we continue to provide that high level of service that we know exists between both of our public safety entities here, and continue to provide that long-term for our residents. I know that public safety is something that's important to me personally, but most importantly, because my family lives here. I want to know that they're protected at all times. And so, again, I think that this is something that is necessary for us to do to, again, contemplate those continued impacts that come as a result of growth and development.
Well, I'll just add that as far as the fee itself, if you read the study and look at the calculus behind it, as I mentioned earlier, the city's, with our current boundaries, pretty much halfway built. And the study more or less says that the other half to be built will pay about half of the fee needed for new services, and the other half comes from existing tax revenue, et cetera. So, I mean, the study's there to view. People can look at the way it was put together, I'm more than comfortable with the numbers and the analysis that was done. And it's absolutely something that I think is necessary for us to continue to grow and allow our public safety services to grow along with the city as we go into this second half. We've seen what a difference it makes just in a year, you know, to have, one, to have control over it, but two, for us to control the growth and support them in that, I think would be huge.
Well said.
That almost sounded like a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2019-25, adopting the public safety impact fee facilities plan and public safety impact fee analysis.
I will second.
Okay, motion and second. Clint?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that motion passes. If there's no further discussion on item 11.4, I'd be happy to accept a motion on that as well.
Can I maybe just give you like 20
for it.
seconds? So the fee on residential will be $288.50 per residential unit. And then for non-residential, it'll be 50 cents per non-residential square foot. And the concept is new growth adds demand for public safety. And so we think it's appropriate to impose a fair burden on new growth, and that's what this attempt is.
For example, building a new police station to help facilitate the additional officers we might need
As new growth,
as new growth occurs.
that's right.
Well, I'm glad you pointed out the actual fees too, John, because as you can see, I mean, $288.50 per residential unit, that's not putting an undue burden on someone purchasing a new house. I mean, you're gonna pay more than that to get your cable hooked up, you know? I mean, so this is a good way to kind of spread that out and help us do that.
Thanks for reiterating the fees, because I did read them, but there was 900 pages to read too, so I forgot about exactly what they were.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 2019-26, adopting an impact fee enactment that imposes a public safety impact fee, providing the calculation and collection of such fee, and providing for appeal, accounting, severability of the same, and other related matters.
A second.
In your motion, could you just put that the effective date is 90 days from today, and we'll insert what that date is?
With effective date of 90 days from today.
Okay,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jared?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that motion passes. That brings us to the end of our general meeting. For future meetings, our next planning commission meeting will be tomorrow, August 15th.
Yeah,
It
is
has,
canceled.
which previously was scheduled for August 15th, has now been canceled. The Board of Canvassers meeting, which will certify the election results for the general election, will meet on August 27th.
Primary election.
Primary election, yes. At 5 p.m. on August 27th. And on August 28th, the City Council will have our next meeting as well. There will be a celebration coming soon regarding the new Mountain Ridge High School at 2 p.m. on a particular day that I don't know.
It's this Friday.
It's this Friday. Thank you.
That's the road opening.
Yeah, the road opening. August 16th will be the Movie in the Park. This is at the Real facility that's in our city at 7 p.m. What movie is that going to be? Ralph Breaks the Internet. So we invite families to come and enjoy. It will be inside in the facility, so it should be a nice evening. August 19th will be our next Hungry Herrmann food truck roundup. So with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn our general meeting.
A motion to adjourn our general meeting and reconvene in work meeting.
I need a
Just
second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. We will be returning to our work meeting in the other room.